Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and right now Dan Priest is looking at me. We're here with Priest Insurance like we always are. Dan's looking at me because we recorded a show and I said, let's do another show, and he said, what are we going to do it about? And I said, just follow me. And he got this look. So it's springtime on Bolivar. Follow me.
Okay.
In the last show, we talked about the shrimp that you had got.
Yeah.
And that's part of Bolivar. You were talking about family and having the shrimp when you get fresh shrimp and stuff. What else ties the family with Bolivar and Bolivar with the family? And I know fishing has to be part of it.
Sure. That's actually an interesting thing. So I never know what's going to happen, but that's an interesting thing that you're talking about. And actually,
I just thought of that.
We actually had a conversation about this with somebody yesterday, and I don't remember who it was. Family ties. So we've been down here since 1972. The family's had a house, started with my dad, and coming down here. And the conversation that we had was this person had driven by my, I know who it is now, the person had driven by my house and said something complimentary about it and said it's a great big porch. Now, I talked about the porch, okay?
Because if your wife's down here with you on Saturday morning,
that's where we are.
I can guarantee you, and a lot of times I'll drive down his road or the next road and come up his road to see what the surf's like or see what the beach is like. And if it's before 9 o'clock, I can tell you they're going to be sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, especially around sunrise.
Yeah, so that's kind of a funny, if we're going to focus on that and family and places down here, the porch. There's an old Lyle Lovett song called The Porch. And I think Robert Earl King wrote it. If you've never heard it, okay. But going back to when I was a kid, like people talked about family discussions around the dinner table. For us, family discussions have always centered around the porch. And whether it's good or heartfelt, and sometimes I can be a little melancholy, but there have been a lot of good conversations that have come off that porch and that continue to come off that porch, whether it's 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning or an afternoon. So that's one of the things that, that's not necessarily...
The porch.
Yeah, the porch. You should look it up. It's not necessarily a springtime thing, but that's Bolivar. And you get down here and you get relaxed and it's all good. Talked about the flowers on the side of the road.
And I'm waiting for the front that's coming through this weekend because the paintbrushes, it just seems like overnight, in the last week and a half, the paintbrushes, and there's an area, and it's not there anymore, but when I first started 6, 7, 8 years ago, there was an area down in Gilchrist, and the whole corner lot was Indian paintbrushes. And I've gone back, went by there.
Somebody planted them at some point, right?
Yeah, but now down in actually the whole highway, even down into Port Bolivar a little bit, but 87 is just full of Indian paintbrushes and some other wild stuff. I hadn't seen bluebonnets yet. I was up in Dayton the other day, and I saw bluebonnets up there, but I haven't seen any down here yet. But the Indian paintbrushes, it's picture time.
They're beautiful. So, when you look around here, there's things that happen every year, and a lot of times people like spring break was beautiful, right?
The
water was flat, the beaches were big, but you know what? Sometimes in spring, the water's not always flat. Like today, it's windy, and the tides are up. And sometimes you might not think of that as a beautiful beach day, but what's coming now with that is there's a lot of seaweed that's up on the beach. And if you know, and you want to go walk that seaweed, there are treasures of sea beans that are galore. And there's things to do, whether it's crabbing, which is coming up in the season soon, right?
Yeah.
It'd be quick.
Yeah.
A lot of things
I mean,
to do.
you can crab now, but
Another month.
It really gets good probably about the middle to the end, end of the month. But the treasures, and I've got an area in the front of the tourism center where it says Bolivar, and I put sandpaper down to imitate sand, and it looks like sand. Bet you didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
And everything on there is from our beaches. Some ladies donated, and some waitresses I know donated sunglasses and army men and sea beans and shark's teeth, and even the beacon that's not flashing now was found on the beach. In fact, one morning I was looking at a webcam, it was dark, and I saw it flashing on the beach and went down to see what it was because we'd had a storm the night before and it broke off a barge or something somewhere.
There are treasures like Kimberly bought a glass lamp, and so we have now filled it up with sea beans. There's another one she's working on with sea glass.
Yeah.
After Ike, we found you know, the orange buoys, orange lifesavers that you see. We found one of those, and it sits on the porch as something else.
You said porch. That's how people decorate down here. A lot of them under their house, on their porch, in their living room. Depending on what it is to where it goes. Now the Life Vest went to the porch. The sea glass and the sea beans go in inside glass jars or lamps or something.
There's a piece of driftwood that's just about this long. It's got a few things on it that we've also found. Some really unique shells that you don't see. Olives you don't see too much anymore, or augers you don't see too much anymore. And so those are on there when we find them, a recent sand dollar. All of this stuff happens down here, and you know, the more you hear, the more you discover it. It's a trove of treasures that are here.
Well, and it's a beachfront treasure hunt. You know, in the summertime, there's not as much stuff because there's a lot more people down here. But if you're down here for a day trip, and we've got a new series we're fixing to announce for day trips, or if you're down here for a weekend, go treasure hunt the beach, and not just in front of where you're staying. Go down to the far south end or west end of the beach and go up past Rollover Pass where there's not as much traffic. And the shells, especially up the east, are completely different. You'll get some of the bigger shells. So, well, there's today's show. See, that wasn't that bad. You never know what we're going to talk about.
These are fun. We're doing an insurance thing, but sometimes it's fun to talk about the other stuff because...
Well, Bolivar, and Landon and I have done it, and Norman and I have done it. Bolivar's really all about family. It may be a vacation destination for many, but there's a lot of family and history down here. And I learned that when I hit, you know, hearing people say, you know, our family's had that house for 40 years and it's gone.
You know, here's an example. So yesterday,
just like y'all.
So yesterday I get down here, I get the shrimp right, and I'm mowing my yard. There's a guy that has a house next door to me, and I've known him since I've been 12. His dad, just like his dad had a house, my dad had a house.
The family's hand it down.
Well, this is a new house, and he has 3 brothers, and everybody built in the same block.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's just all of that familiarity and generational familiarity is a good thing.
It's family.
It is, so it's a good thing.
And that's what Bolivar's all about, bringing family together, making memories, enjoying your time here, and having some place to go without the hustle and bustle. Because it's definitely laid back down here. Not as much as it used to be, you know, but it's still laid back.
Yeah, we're extending, but everybody likes continuity. And when you have a family, and this is, okay, you spend weekends or holidays with your family in a certain place, that's continuity and that's tradition.
Yep.
And that's glue.
Yep.
That's glue. And that's what you want.
Well, we're going to glue on out of here. We do this show every week where we usually talk insurance, but about once a month, every 2 months, we get off into family, fishing, shrimp. You never know what it'll be, but it's always interesting, and it's always with Dan Priest with Priest Insurance. Remember, if you have any questions on your policy or you just want someone to look at it, give them a call. You heard in last week's show where they were able to help someone save some money and move some things around. So, Dan, thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these 2 businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.